In today's video, we are going to share with you how to be an epic interviewer. An epic interviewer. And we have none less than the amazing Jay Menez from Hollywood Real TV in the house. Say hello, Jay.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Harriet.
No worries. So as I say, in today's video, we're going to be sharing with you 3 tips on how you can improve your interviewing skills. But first of all, here is a quick intro. So, I absolutely am not the lady to talk to you about this. As I share in my other videos, we can only take people on a journey of what we know. However, I have seen from comments from a video that we recently did that this skill is something that people need further knowledge in. They need to understand certain strategies, certain techniques, certain tips and thoughts to be able to give an interview that is truly engaging and can create impact for the people watching. So, as I said earlier, we have the awesome Jay Menez from Hollywood Real TV show. If you're not already, do start following him. We can say more about that in a moment. But for now, let's jump in with our top 3 tips.
All right, top 3 tips. I'm really excited to share this stuff because I think it's so important. And as more people get onto social media and do videos, a lot of people are doing the interview format. And so we really need to understand how to be not only a good host, but also as a good guest. But today, we're just talking about hosting, if you're the interviewer. So, what are my top 3 tips? I think that number 1, first of all, is to remember, and this is mindset stuff really, but remember that it's all about your guest. This interview is about shining a light and bringing out the goodness and the value that your guest is bringing. It's not about you. So your job is not to dominate the conversation and show how much wisdom and knowledge you have. Although, you use that, it informs your questions, right? So first of all, you need to stay curious about your guest, and then you'll never run out of questions. You'll never run out of good questions.
I like that. I like the stay curious as well.
Yeah. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
That's great.
A quote that I've taken from these guys, stay curious, not just within interviewing, but within life as well.
Right. Okay, number 2, you want to talk less. It's, in fact, my rule of thumb is to speak 20% or less in this conversation. So, again, this is something that's really important. I hate it when I watch an interview and I'm really there not for the host, but it's because they've they're introducing this great guest, and the host is always in there just speaking too much and putting too much of their spin on it. A little bit of that is appropriate. In fact, you want to do that, but don't overdo it. Because again, it's not about you and what you know. They know that. If they're watching your show, they understand you already. Don't try to be the star. Your guest is the star. Right?
That's a really powerful tip, yes, and definitely something that we share within the speaker side. But yesterday I had the pleasure of doing an interview with Jay. Stay tuned, there'll be a video behind the scenes with Jay Menez. And it was the first time in sitting in this seat being an interviewer. And certainly, you think, as you say, it's one-to-one conversation, so it's that continuous exchange. But I think as Jay's highlighted, it's so important to remember that it's not about you. So give those tips or comments to support what your guest is saying, to stay relevant to that moment of the interview, but actually really ensure that you're allowing the light to be on the guest and giving them the space to share their knowledge.
Right, it's a different skill, isn't it?
It's hard.
Yeah.
I really wanted to just, I got very excited by what you were sharing, and there was moments where I wanted to almost jump in and, start speaking in that moment of perhaps something that I connected with. And a lot of us do this is in this physical existence, we come from our own point of view, our own minds, and it's very easy to get distracted and start going with your point of view rather than continuing that light on your guests. So I think that's a really good tip, and definitely one for me to be improving on and learning.
Right, and that leads into our 3rd tip, is, and something that I had to learn over time, and that's the skill of staying present in the conversation. Oftentimes, you ask a question and your guest is speaking, and you're already thinking about 3 questions ahead. And when you do that, it's hard to follow where you're going here and respond appropriately and maintain that connection with your guest. So you need to stay present and trust that you're not going to get lost in the conversation. So that this conversation that you're having, I like to call them conversations as opposed to interviews actually, for this reason.
To keep it more relaxed.
Yeah, and more organic.
And presumably by staying present in that conversation, that's what's allowed you with all your different interviews that you're doing to really get behind the scenes of some incredible minds, some incredible characters, celebrities, sports, athletes, musicians, as you touched on yesterday. Presumably that skill of staying present is what's really allowed you to actually go so much deeper in their life and their story, rather than staying surface and skipping on to sort of generic topics.
Absolutely, and that applies to all of our communications with people, not just in front of the camera. Whether you're having a one-on-one with your friends, and you're having coffee, or you just run into them on the street, even if it's just for a short period of time, just that minute, you want to stay connected with them and not be distracted. It's very annoying when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody and they're like distracted by their phone or something like that. And yes, life happens and stuff like that, but the more you can minimize that, the better. You'll be a better friend, and you'll build that trust, that know, like, and trust, especially when you're talking about a client.
Stronger connections and more poignant experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Well, there we have it. Our 3 tips to support you and helping you in becoming a better interviewer. Now, if they wanted to follow you, where would be best for them to subscribe? Facebook presumably as well. What would be best to follow you on?
Exactly. My social handles are all J Menez at J Menez TV, and then YouTube J Menez TV also, and my website jmenez.com. That's
Amazing.
Probably the easiest.
Amazing. We'll also make sure that there is a link above or below this video. I'm not sure where the description is on YouTube at the moment, but there will be a link above or below this video for Jay's YouTube channel. But otherwise, thank you so much.
Yeah, fantastic.
Legend. Oh, no, wait. But otherwise, we're actually going to be back with part 2 of this series. So we've done today 3 tips on how to improve as an interviewer, but next video, part 2, will be 3 best tips on being interviewee, so being the interviewee in the conversation. So of course, if you are not already, remember to hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it for your daily notifications of inspiration, education, and motivation. And we will see you on the next one.